What is going on, YouTube? What is going on, Kansas City? And what is going on, everybody? And welcome to the Beat of KC. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Lucas Murphy, and I have the pleasure of bringing you a special guest tonight. I'm amped. I really am super excited. Joel Penfield from One Royal Way on the KC Sports Network. Joel, how are you doing this evening?
No, I'm doing pretty well, man. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it. I've had the itch to get back on the mic here. I haven't been able to quite yet this offseason because Royals haven't really done anything yet. So this is a nice little platform for me for now, but I certainly appreciate the opportunity, man.
Yeah, for sure. I know we're tied to a lot of guys. We've heard a lot of rumors. There's a lot of things circulating, which is cool as a Royals fan, but at the same time, you definitely want to see something done. So I completely get it. It's just been all optimism at this point. But that kind of leads me really into the first question I have. The Kansas City Royals obviously have been linked to a slew of trades because we know that they're looking to really upgrade an outfield spot, specifically probably that left field spot. We know they've been tied to guys like Jarren Duran, Jake Myers, which I did a video on, Brendan Donovan, who I'm really excited, and hopefully that would be the one. But which of these do you feel is kind of the most realistic option kind of at this point?
It's a really tough question because it really depends solely on what is JJ willing to give up. Because I do think it's reasonable to think the Royals could land any one of those guys, I mean. But Duran would cost quite a bit. That's why you saw the Cole Reagans mocks out there, that's probably what it would cost. Or it would be Bubic plus, a couple high-level prospects. Jake Myers would be pretty cheap. I know there's controllable years, but the production hasn't been there enough to make me think it's going to cost a lot. Brendan Donovan would probably be somewhere in the range of a Ryan Berger to Noah Cameron, a young, controllable starting pitcher, which it depends on how you feel about all of these guys, right? And how you think they view into the future. Because that's what the Royals have to weigh here is we have a lot of these young guys that we like that are cost control. They're a part of our future. They're a part of our now, but we need to improve our team now to maximize this window. So we may need to give up a little bit of that and mortgage some of that future asset to win now. So it kind of puts them in a tricky spot. I know it's kind of a non-answer, but the Royals are in a really interesting place, and I'm curious how aggressive JJ does get. I thought maybe they might make a move last year after the playoff run, but now I think this might actually be the year where they make a move that is going to hurt a little when we see the trade compensation. But if it makes the Royals better for 26 and puts them in the playoffs, then we're in pretty good place.
For sure. No, and I think too, like the rumors of Skubal potentially going to the Dodgers. I mean, if something were like that to happen, I think we really haven't seen Cleveland make a move yet. The Twins, to my recollection, haven't really made a move. The White
Twins
Sox
make no sense. Like, they punt on basically their future by trading half their roster, and then they're now going to hold on to Joe Ryan, Byron Buxton, and Pablo Lopez and try and compete in 26. Like, it screams incompetence.
Yeah, 100%. And then obviously the White Sox, which are the White Sox. I mean, they're young and they're up and coming. They've done some pretty impressive things, I feel like, from a young standpoint. But I mean, the door's open for the Royals. You make that move, you really solidify some things. I think that it's a good opportunity in the Central. Now, my question kind of feeds off that first question. I'm really excited to kind of hear your opinion on this. So you kind of mentioned some of the guys, but if you had to choose one, which are you picking?
Probably Brendan Donovan. I think the floor is a little bit safer. You don't maybe have the ceiling of what Jarren Duran was, but he was great the previous year. He was fine last year, but not as good. So I wonder if it was kind of an aberration type year. And he's just going to be a solid player. So and Brendan Donovan, he can play some outfield. He's probably going to play second base for you, which then probably means you just throw Jonathan India out in left field and just go, yeah, we know you got a frying pan for a glove, but just hit and don't worry about anything else. I think that would be the asset because I don't think they want to give up like the major top end type of asset like a Cole Reagans to have to make that type of move, which I bet would be the price. Now, they still have the rotation to supplement, so it would sting, but I think you could still make it work. But I want I want like a high player that has shown high level, elite level production, and Jarren Duran has done that. And the outfield was so horrific last year, like even if he's a 105 weighted runs created plus, which I know doesn't sound amazing, like it's slightly above league average, it'd be 20% better than anything we've gotten out of the outfield the last couple of years. So it's really interesting on what the Royals value. Do they want the safer player that has a little bit of positional versatility, a high on base, maybe not a lot of slug, but is gonna hit the ball around the yard a little bit? Or do they want the speed demon, solid defender, really high upside player with a couple of years of control?
For
Just depends
sure.
on what they value.
Yeah. The last thing is obviously Jake Myers. I just briefly like we've been tied to him. We saw that they're really kind of wanting Chris Bubich for him. I think that's astronomically way too much in my opinion. I get that Bubich is pretty much on a 1-year deal, but to me that just doesn't seem fair. You would obviously have to get a little more from Jake Myers or the trade itself, but really what do you think about Jake Myers coming over if we were to make that trade?
It's a very Royals type player, right? A guy that doesn't strike out a lot, doesn't swing and miss a lot, elite level defense and high level speed. Like that's the kind of player that the Royals value, covet, but it would probably be just a strict platoon type situation with Kyle Isbell, which may actually work in a way because you can get Kyle Isbell off his feet a little bit more. You can make him into a fourth outfielder in some instances. You don't need to send him out there every single day against lefties where he's helpless for the most part. But it does help that side of it. There are some expected numbers stuff that look like it might kind of swing back the other way, and he might actually be a little bit better. He hit 290 in a decent sample, but there's not a lot of slug there, and that's what the Royals need in the outfield. Like, this is kind of the joke of like, you know, I want Kyle Isbell. We have Kyle Isbell at home. Like, it's kind of a right-handed hitting Kyle in a way, just from a contact perspective, not a lot of swing and miss with elite level defense. It's the same sort of thing, but I want to see them actually go and get someone with like a legitimate high impact, and maybe Duran is more that option versus Jake Myers. You also got to wonder how much he maybe benefited from some offense playing at that ballpark in what it's not Minute Maid anymore, whatever it is now. That's a very hitter friendly ballpark for right-handed hitters to the pull side. Not as friendly at Kauffman Stadium in that regard.
Most definitely. Yeah, and I think too that it would be interesting because he is approaching his 30 year age year season,
Yeah,
and
he's 29. He'll be 30. He was
yeah,
a
and
late
he's
bloomer.
obviously still in arbitration, I think, and so I think you nailed it perfectly. I think he's that royal type of player, and so I'd be curious if he's still available after some moves are made. If they miss out on a guy like maybe Jaron Duran or even Brendan Donovan, if that's really where they shift to kind of just solidify that and platoon that in center field, would be interesting to see. Now, kind of transitioning over to free agents, and we obviously been tied to some free agents as well, and the Royals have obviously been linked to guys like Austin Hayes, who I'm kind of a big fan of, Adolis Garcia, who we've seen really went and got back with his former hitting coach and has been really working pretty significantly in the offseason. Harrison Bader, I think, is one that I'm really intrigued by. And then obviously Yaz, but Yaz just signed a 2-year, $23 million deal with a third-year club option with the Atlanta Braves, so he's no longer an option. So of these that are still available, and maybe more, maybe you can dive into some more, which do you feel fit the Royals best and maybe could be a better option for the Royals?
I think Austin Hayes is one that I would go and make a deal for. Maybe that's a 1 or 2 year deal. You can platoon him in spots. He's a decent enough. Again, he holds his own enough against right-handed pitching that it's not a strict platoon situation, but it can certainly become that if they need it to. They can do that with Cags in right if that's what they need to do. He can be an everyday left fielder if they need. That would be kind of a cheaper move that I think helps the team both on the margins and just generally. The concern is he did have a very good year, or a pretty solid year for Cincinnati Reds, but we know what that ballpark is compared to Kauffman. Like, I do wonder how different it would be for him coming to Kauffman Stadium. He's 768 OPS, nearly what he did in 2023. A lot of the expected numbers are not really in his favor. He's got a good arm. He's a fine runner, but I do wonder, how much of that, is going to factor into playing in Cincinnati, playing 81 games in that ballpark. Because if he had 15 home runs this year, 10 would have been at Kauffman. Like, it's one of those things where I kind of worry a little bit about what we saw with Jonathan India being a guy that kind of just took advantage of playing half of their games in a bandbox. That would be the concern, but I would still go and make a move for him because I think the offensive profile is enough that even if they had to make it a platoon situation, like that's still palatable, and it wouldn't be cheap. It wouldn't be expensive enough to make it damaging if that's all he becomes. When Adolis Garcia got non-tendered initially, I was like, I don't know. He's really not been the same guy since 2023 when he was fantastic when they won the World Series. He's still got high level defense. He's a good runner. It kind of goes back to what I said about Jarren Duran. Even if Jarren Duran doesn't become the player he was a couple of years ago, it's still way better than anything they had thrown out in the outfield. If he's a 90 weighted runs created plus and he runs into 18 to 20 homers or maybe more, like, kind of is able to tap back into some of the serious home run power that he has, it's way better than anything they've been throwing out there the last couple of years. And it would probably be a cheap 1-year deal that you could get rid of in June if it blows up. Like, I would go and take a swing on him, no pun intended. And I think, like, if he's able to kind of tap back into what he was a couple of years ago, then it could be one of the better, like, value moves of the season. Putting him in left field or wherever they decide to, that could be a serious difference maker if they decide to, and if it pans out the way you hope it would theoretically.
For sure. Yeah, and I think, too, to kind of go back to Austin Hayes, it makes sense because he obviously played in Camden Yards, and then I think he was a Philly for a little bit and
Yeah,
didn't really make it with the Phillies, and so I'm kind of wondering if really the ballparks are what played to his favor, and so that'd be kind of interesting. I got to dive into some of those numbers, too, but obviously Harrison Bader, too. Are you intrigued or interested, or do you think he's kind of going to be outmarketed for the Royals?
I think it would be a massive mistake to sign Harrison Bader. I'll be honest. Like, I know that again, like, we kind of rehashing the same point about the outfield, but like and I tweeted about this a couple days ago. He slashed 277, 347, 449 this past year between Philly and Minnesota. On its face, that sounds great. The expected batting average was 223. The expected slug was 364. The expected weighted on base average, this is all in Baseball Savant, so this is
Yeah,
all right there. It was 295. He chases, he whiffs, and he strikes out a bunch. Yes, he has elite level defense and elite level speed, but I think the bat is going to regress so hard that unless you get him on a 1-year deal and it's cheap, I wouldn't do it. And especially now going to a ballpark in Kansas City that's probably not going to favor his game, I think that would be a really, really, it would be a bad mistake if they signed him, I think.
I think his BABIP, too, shows that he's due for regression because just
Yeah, I mean, you look at all those numbers, like, there's nothing really that shows me, like, he had a 50th percentile barrel rate, and that's, like, the best thing he did offensively. But there's nothing that shows me he's going to be able to replicate what he did last season. He's not a super high contact guy, like kind of like the Nicky Lopez's or the Adam Frazier's of the world that were like those super contact oriented dudes that always are going to outperform the expected numbers because of their ability to put the ball in play, like Luis Ariz, like those types of guys. He's not that. So I don't think that this would be, I think he's going to get overvalued in the market because of the year he had last year. And whoever signs him, it could end up being a problem.
for sure. Yeah, I'll be intrigued to see kind of what he actually ends up getting. I mean, I know the Royals have been linked to him multiple times, but he obviously has played in both New Yorks. He's seen kind of the bigger markets, so I would wonder if that's really kind of where he's wanting to go first and would be more likely to take a secondary, like you said, maybe a short one-term deal if that's really what it came down to. Now, my next question is kind of a fun one, man. I'm excited to ask you this. I kind of touched on it a little bit, but I really am excited to ask you this. So let's say JJ Picollo steps down and gives Joel the reins to the Royals organization. But the thing is you have the same limitations due to being a small market club. You have the ability to sign current players to long-term contracts. So obviously, current Royals make trades and sign free agents within the payroll range. What moves, signings, and what are you doing?
For one, I'm locking up Vinny to a long-term deal. I don't think it would be crazy expensive. It would be like maybe I'm trying to think of like number, like somewhere like a 5 for 55, somewhere in that range. I could see it being something like that, being a first base only type. It's going to kind of hamper the cost a little bit. I'm willing to wait on Michael because I want to see, okay, was last year like the turning point, or is it kind of the outlier after being one of the worst hitters in baseball the year before? So that's a move I would make just internally. I'm going and trying to find a left-handed reliever. Gregory Soto went off the market today, which was annoying because that was one that I wanted them to try and make.
Yeah,
But you still have someone like a Taylor Rogers, go and sign him to like a 2-year deal. He's older, but he's not a guy that relies on velo. He's a sinker guy. Hobie Milner maybe is another option there that I would go and try and get, and just provide a little bit of insurance for Angel Serpa. I think Angel Serpa is better than people give him credit for, but he should not be your only lefty reliever that you trust. Like, he can't be. And Daniel Lynch is a ticking time bomb. So you have to go and try and find another lefty. And that would be, two options that I would go and try and get. I would sign Adolis Garcia to a 1-year deal and try and get him in with this hitting department, see what Zumi and Marcus Thames and Connor Dawson are able to do and cook up for him. Maybe just some new voices able to help him get back to who he was. And then from a trade perspective, I probably would pull the trigger on the Duran move. And it would be, I don't think I would give up Reagans, but I'd be willing to part with like Bubic, Berger, and Blake Mitchell and something else if that's what it takes. And I'd go from there. And that may be light, that may be homerism because I'm not going to give up Cole Reagans, but I don't think the Royals would trade him. And I don't think, yeah. So I think that's how they want controllable pitching. And I think Ryan Berger could be a guy that you use in that case. Maybe it's Noah Cameron, but one of those guys, a Berger to Kolick, Cameron, are probably going to end up in some of these conversations too, because of the controllable years.
for sure. No, I would sign up for that right now if we could get all that done. That'd be a heck of an off season, man, for sure. That's incredible. It's interesting to me because obviously Bubic has shown a little bit of success, not only in the bullpen, but as a starting pitcher as of late. And he's obviously on that 1-year kind of arbitration type of thing.
It's a contract year for him.
Right. And so I think teams see that and really are using that as an advantage against the Royals. And so they're obviously trying to pry those younger, more upsided type of pitchers, rightfully so. Obviously you don't want to give up garbage to get good in return. You want to be fair both ways. So I would anticipate that in any of these big moves, it's Noah Cameron's probably been mentioned every time. I mean, what are your thoughts on that?
If that's what it takes.
Yeah.
Like, I'm at the point there are very few players that are untouchable. And I thought, there was a point last season where I was even like, man, Noah Cameron might be able to get them something at the deadline. Like when they were kind of in that contender place, when they were in like that like high level contender, not just like the fringy one that they kind of turned the deadline into. But if that's what it takes, man, then that's what it takes. But it would be it would be kind of the antithesis of the organization to trade the local guy, after 1 year when he was great and finished fourth or fifth in rookie of the year. Like, I don't think that they would trade him, but I think Ryan Berger could be on the table if he's healthy. I think Stephen Kolick could be. I do think Bubic, I would trade Chris Bubic, even if it's not necessarily for anything crazy, because I would rather get something for him than maybe a comp pick at the end of next year, because who knows what his market's going to be, because who knows if he's going to be healthy. Yeah. And I would rather try and trade him now, and you have the pitching, still within the organization that can come up and supplement those innings that he gave you. I think the Royals have shown enough that these young pitchers can come up and be effective, and they can find pitching anywhere now, it seems, with what Brian Sweeney has created in this organization. So it may sting a little, and he may be awesome and an all-star and a great pitcher for someone else, but you're probably not going to be re-signing him. You're not going to sign him to an extension. So I would go and do something for him now, and I would try and make a move and just get some value for him back.
100%. That's exactly where I'm at. I'm like, I mean, he's been producing for the Royals in some facet until the injury. I mean, he was in the Cy Young race. I mean, he put up phenomenal numbers, but like you said, can he replicate that again and then really show that? It's going to be interesting. Today was the Rule 5 draft, and so kind of a two-part question. Are you surprised a player was not taken from the Royals, and then obviously vice versa? Were you surprised we didn't take anybody? Because I was kind of surprised somebody didn't take a flyer on Mazzucato. I know that he's kind of fringy a little bit, like we don't really know, but I'm kind of curious. What are your thoughts on that?
I have very strong opinions about Frank Mazzucato. He's not a big leaguer. Like,
Yeah,
he's just not. If you had to throw Frank, because the thing about the Rule 5 is that player goes on your 40, and that
yeah,
player goes on your big league roster, and they have to
yeah,
spend the entire year on your big league roster in order to retain them. If they don't, it's like Matt Sauer a couple of years ago, where he was on the big league roster, he stunk, and so they shipped him back to New York because he didn't last on the big league team. Frank Mazzucato would get returned within a week of spring training. Like, that guy would he got eaten alive in the Texas League. He was awful. It would be a disaster if they tried to do it, if someone tried to take him in the Rule 5. Like, it would be bad. Like, there's a reason why he didn't. There's a reason why he was unprotected, because the Royals knew he's not going on our 40 and no one's going to touch him. So he's going to go back to Double-A and we'll see what happens. But no one's going to take a chance on a lefty that throws 86 that doesn't know where it's going. Like, I don't know. But no, I'm not surprised the Royals didn't take anyone either. Like, they're at a point now, good teams that are in contention windows don't mess around in the Rule 5. Like, it was fine when the Royals did it when they were bad, because you could afford that roster spot. Like, hey, we'll see what happens. Take a chance. You can't do that anymore. Like, if you're the Royals, unless someone that's just inexplicably unprotected falls to you and you do it, sure. But I don't think it's a risk you can take at this point. Like, the margins are too thin
yeah.
trying to compete right now to waste a roster spot on a guy that may not even be on your roster within 6 weeks, and you have to return him back to their parent organization.
Yeah. Yeah, I wasn't too surprised. I really wasn't. I kind of aligned with what you said. I really didn't think I didn't think that there was a ton of interest in a lot of people, that I just didn't think would really kind of fit to what the Royals are trying to do at the moment. I mean, obviously you could pick up somebody and we could attach to him and like him, but I'm not surprised we didn't make a move. Now, the next question, obviously, the draft process is kind of awarded, and we understand the Kansas City Royals were given the 6th overall pick, which is incredible, I think.
Considering the string of bad luck they had with the lottery
Yeah.
for a couple of years, this is a coup almost to get the 6th pick in a draft that is deep and has a lot of good players.
Yeah, I'm excited. And obviously, with the 6th pick, you start seeing some mock drafts. I've seen the Southside Christian High School left-handed pitcher Carson Boleman. I think I'm pronouncing his name right. That was
Yeah,
from
Bowman.
MLB.com. I've also seen Liam Peterson, a right-handed pitcher from the University of Florida, that came from Bleacher Report. And I've also seen Jacob Lombard, who I'm kind of intrigued by. He plays shortstop, but he's from Gulliver Prep in Florida, and that's from USA Today. So I'm sure there's obviously others out there, as all kinds of places do mock drafts. But with an early gauge, who are you kind of interested in that 6th spot?
And I'm gravitating toward the college hitters, at least initially here. Drew Burris, I don't know if he makes it to 6, but that kid is special. He's 5'9", 180, but's got legit 20 plus homer power. Plays center field for Georgia Tech. He's really good. A guy that's a little further down the list, AJ Gracia, who went to Duke and was awesome as a freshman and sophomore. Transferred to Virginia, followed his coach that went there. High level hit tool, high level power. He's a corner outfield type, but a guy that I think could move pretty quickly because of the field of hit. If they want to they go college pitching. Cameron Flukie from Coastal Carolina is probably the best college pitcher in the draft. 60 grade fastball, 60 grade curve. I mean, he's super polished. He's a guy that can move really quickly, probably be in the big leagues within a couple of years. So there's just a couple names. We'll find out more as this gets closer. These guys have to play their college seasons, because like there were some dudes like Jace Laviolette was a guy that was supposed to go in the top part of the draft, and he fell so far because he had a terrible season. So there's a lot of baseball to be played. It's kind of funny seeing mock drafts for this now. The only certainty is that the shortstop from UCLA is going to go 1-1. Like, I think that is about as guaranteed as it gets. But outside of that, the draft starts at 2, and we'll see what's going to be there. But the Royals are going to have an opportunity to get a high-level player and add them into a contending team at a cost control rate, which is a huge deal.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I agree. It's going to be intriguing for sure. And I think, obviously, like you said, things will start shaping up as this college season really kicks off and we start to see things develop. Now, I'm excited to kind of ask you this one too, and this is my second to last question. Obviously, the minor leagues for the Royals, I guess their prospects really kind of. I think we've seen a 2026 development of the top 30. We know Carter Jensen's obviously at the top, but he'll graduate if he continues to stay on the major league roster. Really, I guess, can you identify some of the minor leaguers or guys that are within the Royals organization that you're really kind of intrigued? I know Kendry Churio is one that a lot of people gravitate towards and really is a significant kind of young arm. And I know we really had a significant kind of connection to the international. We were able to get a decent amount of guys from the international pool and things like that. So, which prospects are you really kind of looking forward to in this coming year?
Churio, obviously. I mean, he burst on the scene. I can't remember the last guy that went from the Dominican Summer League to the complex to affiliated ball and was awesome at every stop. And he's 18 years old. Like
Yeah,
he's probably you might be able to make the jump to high A next year at, going into his age 19 season. David Shields, similarly, left-handed prep kid. And he's young too. Like he's not going to be 19 going into his second full big league or pro ball season. Those are the top two pitching prospects. Now, this kind of goes back to the old adage of there's no such thing as a pitching prospect. Like these dudes are 18 to 19 years old in low A. They may flame out in double A and we may never hear from them again. Like we don't know. But if those two guys hit, then those are going to be very young, like probably 21, 22 coming up to the big leagues if they're on this current track. So names that I think are going to be sooner rather than later, despite their age and their level. I am still very fascinated by Ramon Ramirez, who had a pretty solid season at 20 years old in low A this year, hit 12 homers, has a pretty good feel for the zone. Doesn't strike out a ton for a guy with some serious power. And then we're going to get a good look at Josh Hammond and Sean Gamble, the 2 first-round picks that the Royals had this year. I don't know where Gamble's going to play. That's kind of the first part of this, is that he's listed as an outfield second baseman. It sounds like he probably can do both. It sounds like he's probably going to play the outfield. There are scouts that think he can play center, which would be a big win for the Royals. We're able to get that type of center fielder. And then Josh Hammond is a big hitting third baseman. Kind of he could be a third baseman of the future type. Kind of fits more of that profile than what Michael does. And that's not an indictment on Michael, but kid's 6'1", 210, built like a Mack truck and hits bombs. It's just more of like the prototype of that type of position. And he's still learning how to be a position player every day. He was a pitcher
yeah,
for most of his high school career and was like, no, I want to be a position player. I want to be able to get on the field every day. Turned himself into one of the best prep hitters in the draft last year and then gets drafted in the first round and had a really good complex year. So those are a couple of the names to watch. A little further down the list, let me see if there's anybody that really kind of Carson Rockefeller. I go back and forth on how I feel about him, like because I think I see the vision of it, of like high level defense, great speed. He's got some pull side power, but he just hasn't quite put it all together.
yeah,
He had a really good Arizona Fall League. He had a good stretch of baseball when he first got to Double A. If he's able to put it all together, he is an everyday center field type. I know Preston Farr has adored him since the Royals drafted him. I was really high on him going into the 24 season. He really wasn't that great, so I kind of hopped off until I see. But if he goes back to Double A and repeats what he's doing, I mean, it's a guy that he's a little older for the level, would be 24, but a dude that could actually factor into the big leagues sooner rather than later.
for sure. No, I'm excited for Churio. I'm excited to see what he can do. One name you forgot to mention was Gavin Cross. What do we do with Gavin Cross?
I mean, what's he done in the last 2 years to make you think he's a big leaguer? Like, it's so hard because he puts together these stretches sometimes of really good baseball. And when that's like his swing, and when it's synced up and he's on time and on plane, it's like, oh, that's why he was a first round pick. And then you see he gets out of sync very regularly. He swings and misses a bunch. He strikes out a lot. He doesn't walk a lot. He's a toolsy kid, but I don't even know if he's a platoon bat right now. Like, he's probably going to go back to Double A.
Yeah, yeah, It's interesting. I think he's obviously not going to have the MJ type of defense, but I think that's kind of the hitting tool is kind of that, in my opinion, that's kind of what you might see if he were to get to the big leagues. I mean, we have plenty of those types of guys. We have Drew Waters. We have guys that just are your ultimate 4A type of players that just they get to the
I
big
don't even
leagues
know
and
if
they
he's a
just
4A because I think he would get eaten alive by big league pitching. Like,
right.
because the pitch recognition, the ability to pick up spin is just not there. Like, for a long time, the Royals had a system full of guys of like, I can see a big leaguer in there. Not a high level one, but a big leaguer. They actually have some guys at the top now that I
Yeah.
actually think are pretty high level stuff. And I failed to mention Blake Mitchell. He had a really tough year. That hamate injury really zapped his power. He just wasn't the same guy from, the power perspective. And that mitigated a lot of the swing and miss and the strikeout. He's always going to do that, but he has to hit homers when he does make contact in order to make up for it. He didn't do that last year. So I'll see. I'm curious to see what he ends up doing. He's going to go back to high A, I imagine. And if he finds any way to cut down on the strikeouts, he's going to be good. But if he's going to strike out a third of the time, he ain't going to make it to double A.
Yeah.
Or he's
Yeah,
not
it's
going to
gonna
make it past double A, I should say.
for sure. Yeah, and that's kind of intriguing to me. I actually had that same injury when I played college ball. It is brutal. And so I can only imagine, like, I mean, I also wasn't seeing high 90s and stuff like that, but man, you get jammed every once in a while and it would flare up and it would instantly just almost take the wind out of you. It was brutal, but yeah, I mean, I'm hoping he rebounds and maybe, I mean, we could be talking about him right now and he could be in a trade tomorrow, so we'll just have to see, but
Yeah.
now, my final question, I'm excited to ask you this. As you can see over my shoulder, I'm a Jayhawk fan. I covered Kansas baseball for a while for writing, and obviously I know you're a diehard Oklahoma State fan. I don't know why I would guess that, but you're a
Not at all. Not the wrestling. Does the wrestling Pete not give it away?
so I gotta ask you, how are your Pokes gonna do this year in baseball?
I'll be honest, I have no idea.
Yeah,
I have not paid a ton of attention to it yet. But I know that they have a new pitching coach for the first time, basically in the Josh Holiday era. Rob Walton, who had been around for a decade plus, played at Oklahoma State, was a legend there, and then came back and developed a bunch of pitchers. But game kind of passed him by a little bit. It just wasn't the same. They brought in, I think it's the pitching coach from Oregon. And so maybe we'll see something new. But what I've learned is really not to judge any Oklahoma State team until they get into conference play, because Josh Holiday likes to kind of mix and match and see, and then they play their best baseball down the stretch. So we'll see. But they got a tough start to the year. They got Arkansas, Oklahoma, and Vanderbilt to start the year. So it's going to be a challenge. Yeah, we'll see.
man, he didn't set them up for success out the
They
gate.
do it every year. They play in this one of those little showcase tournament deals. And yeah, they got Arkansas on Friday, Oklahoma on Saturday, and then Vanderbilt on Sunday.
Man, that's crazy. It's so hard with college baseball to really, I mean, unless they're a premier player and you know that they're like the UCLA
And
kid,
Oklahoma State
like,
doesn't have one of the they don't have one of those this year. Like
right.
they have
And
some
so
guys that I think are good,
yeah,
but I don't know, like Avery Ortiz, Colin Ritchie, are some guys that had really good. Colin Brugman is a big slug hitting first baseman. They'll undoubtedly have some left-handed pitcher that throws 86. That's just the perfect college pitcher, because they just have one of those every year that ends up being their Friday guy just out of nowhere. But yeah, we'll see, man. I am not as adept to that as I have been other sports. I mean, obviously football was brutal this year.
Yeah.
Really gotten into basketball and wrestling. Wrestling's huge at Oklahoma State, so I've watched that pretty regularly. But once baseball rolls around, I'll dive a little more into it. But yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, man, I'm excited. College baseball it kind of gets that itch for everything rolling because it starts in like February. So
Yeah,
we're
early
right around
February. You get it gets you going a little bit because pitchers and catchers report right around that same time, and it's all right there.
yeah. Oh, I guess I do have one more question, and it just kind of popped up because you mentioned that.
Yeah, sure.
WBC, man, are you excited for the
Yeah.
WBC?
It's one of the best events that baseball's put on, and with guys being fully bought into it, and like you get the stars that go and play for all of their national teams, I think it's awesome. And it was so awesome. The previous iteration, you got the Ohtani Trout matchup, which was legendary. You kind of got to see on display Roki Sasaki, Munetaka Murakami, Yoshinobu Yamamoto, like for Japan. And we're going to get another wave of that coming in this year. And for some of these other teams, like, Vinny and Jack are going to play for Team Italy, which is cool. Or is Jack going to play for Puerto Rico?
Well, it was MJ. It was with Puerto Rico the last time, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. Hold on. I'm pretty sure he's playing for Team Italy.
Yeah.
For some reason, I thought it was Puerto Rico.
I don't know why I was thinking, but I'd be curious if Nicky Lopez pulls out the cleats to bust it out in the WBC, because he played for Italy, I think, too. I could be wrong, but yeah, I got asked that today. Do you think he'll play? And I was like, man, I don't even know if he's still in the league.
He bounced around to like 8 teams last year, I swear.
Yeah. Well, Joel, I appreciate you coming on, man. This has been a phenomenal interview. I really do appreciate all your time. I know you do a lot of great work over at One More Way, and I'm constantly watching your stuff. And so I appreciate the effort and all the stuff that you put in. I know all the fans appreciate it too. So I want to kind of give you some props for that. I end every video kind of the same way. So can you let everybody know where to find you? They probably already know, but we like to give them where they can find you.
Yeah, follow me on Twitter at JT Penfield. I tweet about the Royals, I tweet about other stuff too. Follow the podcast, One Royal Way. It's wherever you get your shows. We're on YouTube as well, One Royal Way KCSN. Hang out over there. We're trying to get to 1,000 subscribers here by opening day next year. So go over there. You're going to start to see stuff pop back up for me here in the next couple of weeks. And then really once pitchers and catchers report, we're full steam ahead. So got a couple more months of this off season, and then we'll go from there.
Heck yeah. Well, I appreciate it, and I end every video the same way. You all have a good day.